me a little bit about where you were born, first of all.
Well, I was born in the Capitan Mountains, just out of Roswell, New Mexico. And I got there about 6 hours before the doctor did.
Oh yeah? Who delivered you?
My grandmother. And my grandmother and grandfather lived on a apple orchard up in the mountains. And they had a house, and my dad and my mother lived in a walled up tent. And that's where I was born, it's in a tent.
Is on the same property
On the
with
same
them?
property. Uh-huh.
Is that right? Now, whose parents was that? Your mom's or your dad's?
That was Isaac and Margaret Grindstaff, my dad's parents. And Dad had to go to town with a team to get the doctor, and the doctor had to come out in a buggy and a horse, and it rained that night. It was in December, and he couldn't get back in time, so I came anyway.
No problem.
No
so.
problem, no. So,
How big a piece of property did they have, do you know?
about 40 acres, I think it was, that they had in Apples, and that's also the way he met my mother. Was when he was a young man, came down to the town to sell apples. And,
Oh, really?
And sold apples there, and she was a little girl about 10 years old, and he was a grown, or 8, something like that, and he was a grown man already.
She was how old?
8 or 10 years old, and he camped near their near the house where she lived, and she jumped up early in the morning and ran out to see him. She's afraid he'd leave before she got to see him in the morning, and he buttoned her dress up for her, and then they didn't meet again until she was grown.
Huh?
So,
How much older was he than her?
20 years.
20 years older?
Uh-huh.
I never knew that.
20 years older than she. And she was living at Albuquerque, I think it was.
Yeah.
I'm not just sure about
Do
where
you know
she
how
lived.
old they were when they got married?
Well, she always said she was just past 16, or
So-
17, I think, but her brother said she was only 16. So I don't really know for sure.
So
how
he
old
would have
she
been
was.
36 and she was 16?
Something like that.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah.
Now, okay, are you the oldest?
I'm the oldest, oldest of 7.
Okay, now did you go to school in that area or did you move? What happened
Oh
after?
no, I went to school, maybe 10 or 12 schools in every school semester. They moved all the time.
Now, where's the first place you moved to after home there?
Oh no, the first place we moved to, I don't remember for sure. But we moved from there onto a dairy farm, which I don't remember.
Yeah.
I've got pictures of me at the back door on the farm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of those standing there, and there's with the broom by me. That was on the dairy farm. And then we moved to Idaho. We went all the way from New Mexico to Idaho in a covered wagon. And there my brother Charles was born. And we stayed, I don't know, just a few months. And the rest of the family stayed. My grandma and grandpa and my uncle Avery, that's Papa's brother, and his wife stayed. And I still have cousins that I visited there a few years ago. And Papa sold the wagon, and we got on the train and came back to New Mexico somewhere. I don't remember exactly where. And
Now, how come they didn't stay in Idaho?
I don't know. Just Mama always blamed Papa's health, and he always blamed Mama's roaming heart, so I don't know which it was. Probably a combination of both. So we got on a train and came back to Chama, New Mexico, is
Yeah.
the place that we came back to. And Papa rented a farm from this part of sharecropping place, and it was a real nice little place, and that's where we bought our first car, and that's where I first went to school. And sometimes when Mama didn't have anything for our lunch, I used to go to the grocery store. The grocery store in those days had everything, and they had a bench there. And I remember one of the things that I bought most of the time, I didn't have money, they just put on Mom and Dad's bill, whatever I wanted for lunch, was a pickles pig's feet.
Oh.
We'd eat a pickles pig's foot and sometimes a piece of bread, and we loved to have that for lunch. Sitting there right by the barrel they took it out of on a bench.
Yeah.
And
do you still like them or not?
oh, I don't think I do. I haven't had one for years, but I don't think I do. Oh dear. And then some people came passing through there, going to well, Colorado again, somewhere. I forgot now the name of the town. Egner was the little town, but I can't remember the big one close by. And they wrote to Mama when they got settled up there. So again, we got in the, I guess they must have sold the car, because we did have one when we were there for a little while. And then they got a team, and we started out for Colorado. We went up there and homesteaded on some land up there, and built a log cabin, and stayed one winter. And Papa and the other men up there built the first schoolhouse that they had there, and it was also a log cabin. And the men took turns taking us to school on a sleigh with horses. And I went to school there one part of a winter, and then we were gone again.
Where did you go that next time?
Well, I can't remember for sure exactly where we went, but Papa got a job delivering groceries to sheep herders, and that was up out of Durango, Colorado. So we didn't go very far, and he took us. Charlie was in one pack saddle, and I was in the other one on the side of the pack animal. He had one animal with bedding, and one with other stuff, and one with pots and pans and groceries. Mama rode on one, and Papa rode on one, so we had a whole team of them, a whole herd of them, whatever. And we went up up in the mountains and camped all summer. It was one of the nicest summers we ever had.
Oh, really?
It was, their snowdrifts were big as a house, at least they seemed that way to me. And Dad made a ditch and diverted the water around where we could get it without getting muddy. And we had this ice cold water all the time. And he would go and be gone 2 or 3 days at a time, and we would stay there, and then he'd come back again. He'd go down into town, which probably wasn't a great many miles, and back to the other sheep herders that had flocks of sheep up there.
Is that what he was a sheep herder?
No, he was delivering the groceries to
Oh.
all these other herds that were spotted around in the different parts of the mountains. And then he'd come back and stay there maybe a day, and then he'd be gone again. And then when he'd come back, he always brought fresh milk and chicken or meat or whatever. And,
So it's just you two and your mom for right then.
Yeah, and Mama got pregnant up there with Hugh. So then we went from there.
Hugh was number 3, huh?
Hugh was number 3.
Was he born there or later?
No. He was born in Hot Springs, New Mexico, which is now Independence, New Mexico. But at that time it was called Hot Springs. So we traveled back down there with a team and wagon again.
Right.
So I got pneumonia down there, and the doctor who they took me to had a duplex. First time I ever saw a duplex. And he took us in, and we lived in this half of this duplex because Mama had a baby and I had pneumonia, and we both needed attention.
Now, how old were you then when you had pneumonia first time?
Well, I must have been 7.
Okay.
So we went,
and that's when Hugh was born.
That's when Hugh was born.
And how close were you and Charles in age?
Well, I was born in 1911.
Uh-huh.
And Charles was born in 1914.
So just 3 years.
And Hugh was born in January of 1918.
Okay.
So how old was I?
Yeah, you were just 3 years older than him,
Yeah.
7 years older than
Yeah.
you.
So that's the first time that I'd ever lived in a house that had a bathroom, a modern bathtub and a flush toilet. And boy, that was really living. And
you knew you wanted it later, huh?
I knew I was willing to work for it too. And from there, when Hugh was about, I'm sure he wasn't over 6 weeks old, we started out in a covered wagon again. And there was my grandpa and grandma Lewis and my uncle George, who was a teenager by then. And he wouldn't ride in the wagons. He was too proud. He had his own burro that he rode on a burro. And my Aunt Louise and her son Floyd, who was I think only about 2 or 3 weeks old, and Mom and Dad and my Aunt Florence, and us 3 kids. When we
Now, that Aunt Florence, is that who Florence was named after?
uh-huh.
Now, were you named after anybody?
Yeah, I was named after both of my grandmothers.
Oh, okay.
My mother's mother is Georgia,
right.
and my father's mother is Margaret. And Charlie was named after both of the grandfathers.
Oh, he was
His
the first girl named after both grandfathers and first boy after both
His
grandfathers.
name was Isaac Charles, and he never liked the name Isaac, so when he started school or along the way somewhere early in life, he changed it to Charles Isaac. So not legally, but he made everybody call him Charles. So I don't know who started it, but they used to call us Maggie and Ike, because my name was always Georgia Margaret, but they got to calling us that, and that he couldn't stand at all. So
Maggie and Ike.
uh-huh.
You didn't like Ike, huh?
Yeah, he didn't like
Can't
that.
blame him.
No, I can't blame him either. So,
Now, who was next? Which child was born next after Hugh?
after Hugh come Tempe,
Okay.
and she was born in not
Tempe,
Phoenix,
Arizona?
Arizona.
Oh, not
Yeah.
in Tempe.
No, not in Tempe. Yeah, and that's Mama's aunt. My grandmother's sister
Oh,
is
she
named
was
Tempe.
in Tempe.
Yeah, yeah. Her name was Tempe. And then we came to California in a covered wagon.
In a covered wagon.
In a covered wagon. Took 43 days.
Yeah, that was from where?
From Arizona.
Yeah.
And we
Now,
went,
there weren't very many people traveling by covered wagon then, were there?
no, they wouldn't let us stay in the campgrounds because of the team.
Oh, really?
There were that many horses. Uh-huh.
So where'd you end up having to stay on?
On the rivers and on the highways were not highways like they are now, and they were not fenced under a tree anywhere. No one bothered.
So you could just pull off.
Just pull off and camp. And then we went to Orange Cove.
Is that Southern California?
No, it's just a little south of Fresno.
Okay.
Not way southern. And there, the next child was born, and his name was Stanley.
Stanley, okay.
And we all got whooping cough, and he choked to death with whooping cough.
As a baby.
Yeah, just 1 month old. And we stayed around, well, then we came to Fresno. And
Now, what did your parents do for a living, like there in Orange Cove? What did he do then?
he worked on a farm. He was well, that's about all he ever did was his farm work.
Yeah.
He was a very good irrigator, and he could, you probably would know what a Fresno is, but it's a land piece of equipment in the old days when they used them to level land with.
Oh, they
And
called it a Fresno?
That's the name of it, a Fresno. Yeah. And it's like a scoop shovel, except it's all manual, that the horses pull and they raise it up and lower it down and everything. And he had a good eye. He was good at it, and he was in demand for it.
So he never had a problem having work?
No, he always could get work. Yeah, and he was a good farmer. He was a very good irrigator, and he was a hod carrier in his younger days.
Yeah.
I don't remember him ever doing that, but the courthouse.
Maybe before your parents were married, or were you around then?
Possibly before.
Yeah.
But I don't remember him doing it. The courthouse at Roswell, New Mexico. He helped build it.
Oh, did he?
It burned down.
Oh.
Sorry to say, but
That's too bad.
anyway, he worked on that as a young man, and in fact, he had a big bump here on his shoulder from carrying the
from
hawk.
carrying that over his shoulder all the time.
And they say that he was a little man, but strong. They say he could walk up a ladder with a hawk of hod better than most anybody.
Even though he was little, it didn't matter. He was strong.
Yeah.
So then you moved to Fresno. What happened there?
Well, we moved to Fresno, and they worked for a while, and then they got money enough together when I was about 17 to pay down on 40 acres of land. Or maybe they didn't even have any money to pay down. The Cotton Gin probably financed the whole thing.
Right.
I'm not just real sure about that. And or maybe when I was 16 that happened. And they started buying this farm and did real good with it, and paid the payments off and everything. Stayed there 2 years, and that's when they made enough money that they paid for me to go to beauty college.
Oh, they paid for you to
They
go to
paid
beauty
for me
college?
to go to beauty college.
They did good.
And they paid, I stayed with Mama's sister, Catherine, and her husband, Harry, and my cousin. They had a bunch of kids too, and one cousin was just 3 months younger than I was, Catherine.
Now, where was this at?
In Fresno.
Okay, now where were they at?
The folks were at Madera.
Oh,
They
they'd
had-
moved north of Fresno.
Yeah, they had the ranch at Madera.
Okay.
And they stayed there 3 years. And if they had stayed 1 more year, they would have had it paid for.
Why'd they
But
move?
then,
The wanderlust, huh?
no, their car broke down. And instead of making the payment on the property, they went and bought a brand new car. And in those days, new cars weren't that expensive, but neither was the land. And they took off and went to Arizona again. But I didn't go. So,
Had you already finished beauty school by that time?
yeah.
Were you going to take pictures?
They're going right now.
Have a seat.
I'm
you can
the
listen.
star.
You're on next, guys. So get
No,
used
I'm
to it.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, so you were there in beauty school. Now you were with your cousin Catherine, was just 3 months younger than you.
Yeah.
Okay, and
So
what
we
happened when you finished beauty, or how did beauty school go for you?
Well, I was a real good operator, but I didn't do my bookwork as good as I should have.
Yeah.
So the first time I failed by 2 points.
Oh, when you took the test.
So I had to go back and take it the second time. But I studied that time and I passed it.
You did good.
Oh, shoot.
Now, after you graduated, what did you do then?
I got a job. Oh, that was something else. There was at that time there was 2 schools in Fresno, and it wasn't a very big town, and there was no jobs right there in Fresno, so they called. They didn't have unions or associations or anything like that. They called the school for operators,
Yeah.
and the lady down at Visalia called and wanted an experienced operator, and they didn't have one. Experienced operator. So they didn't have one, and they sent me down. So Papa drove me down. We'd met already by then, and he was working, and he loaned me money enough to pay for a room, and I rented a room and put my uniform and went to work the next morning, and the lady said, real cute little Spanish lady, snappy eyes, and she says, how much experience have you? And I said, I just took my state board. And I didn't know that I hadn't passed yet then.
Oh, you hadn't even passed.
No, I hadn't got the word back yet that I hadn't passed. And she says, well, are you, I forgot now what she asked me. And I said, well, I'd like to show you what I can do. And so she said she went in the other room and laughed. I was so brave about it. But she gave me a job, and I worked there till we got married. So.
She gave you a shot at it. You hadn't even passed yet, huh?
No, she gave me a shot at it.
It wouldn't work that way anymore, would it?
No, it wouldn't. And not only that, but when I didn't pass and the time in between to go back again, she would have had to let me go and all that kind of stuff. But they didn't. They weren't strict as they were then.
Now, how long did you work for her?
Until I got married.
Which is how long?
A little over a year, something like that.
Now-
She worked in the restaurant too at the same time.
I worked 2 jobs. Well, I couldn't chase around. I was engaged to you, or was expecting to get engaged to you, so I worked 2 jobs.
So you worked at the beauty shop during the daytime? And
I worked in the beauty shop during the daytime, and then at 6 o'clock I went to work in the restaurant and worked till 10, and Saturday night I worked till 1. So
you worked some hours.
I worked some hours.
And Sunday she
But-
was paid.
So would
Oh,
you
no.
work 12 hours a day most days?
Yep.
Well, that's where I get it from. That's where I used to get it from.
And then, well, I'd get my dinner every night, didn't have to pay for that.
Oh,
'cause
that's good.
In the restaurants, they used to give you your
So
free
you'd
meals,
save a meal plus make some money.
plus make money.
That was not bad.
That's
So
right.
now what did you do? Wait tables or what?
Well, it was just a long, 12 stools, I think it had.
Okay.
Just a
So
counter.
you waited the counter.
Uh-huh.
Is that right?
Yeah, sure.
Hard work, huh? Both of them.
Yeah. It was fun. It wasn't hard work.
Well,
When you're young and
no, that's true.
It's,
It gets harder as you get older.
it's hot down there, and you can't go to bed and sleep early anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Might as well work.
yeah.
Now back up. How did you meet the old codger here?
Oh dear. Well, when I was living at Catherine's house, Catherine, my cousin, her father and his dad's father were working on the same job, and they happened to get to talking that the children played music and that, so they had gotten together because both Evans and his brother played saxophones, and Catherine played the piano, and Uncle Harry the violin and whatever. And so they were going out, the whole bunch of them together. And so she had it all arranged with me that they were coming over, the 2 boys were coming over, and she didn't have a date exactly with either one of them, they were just coming over. And that she had introduced me that I was supposed to conveniently disappear, and she had asked him if she could take me along. Of course, I'm all dressed and fixed up and everything to go along. And they said, of course, I could come along. And Leonard is taller than Papa. So as we go out the door, she gives me a pinch, and she says, you go with the short one. So your grandfather is the short
And
one.
58 years later, you're still with him, or 59 years.
Yep,
That's
59.
funny.
Yep, so he's the shorter one. I was lucky he was
You-
short.
You lucked out, I remember.
Otherwise, you'd had a divorcing grandma.
No, you'd have
Oh
never
my, I
married
shouldn't
the
say
other one.
that. Somebody else might hear this.
That's okay. You did all right. Well, Leonard is the black sheep of the family. We'll let Pop talk about him and his tape.
No, he isn't. He's a professional man.
Oh yeah.
He's done all right.
Black sheep.
But you married the right one. Let's put it that way.
Well, I think so.
Pop still got all his teeth too.
Yeah.
Well, most of them.
Most of them. It looks like it anyway.
Now how did he propose to you? Why don't you tell us about that? How you got engaged, or tell us about your courtship first. That was your first date. What happened after that?
Well, I don't know. We just kept going together, and he kept calling me for a date instead of whatever, and it's just it just happened. I don't know. After we'd been going together for a few months, I don't know how many. I think all winter, and it's starting to get spring next spring. Well, he started talking about. He thought he'd go away. He thought he'd go to Oregon or go somewhere, and
He thought he'd go to Oregon?
yeah, something like that.
Dang, he was smart, real smart when he was young there.
So he told his mother was going back to Iowa that spring, and on a visit. So he told her that, well, when she came back, he might not be there because if he stayed, he'd probably marry Georgia, and he didn't want to get married yet. So she went back to Iowa, and then she tells me afterwards, she came back and she said, well, I see you're still here. So,
Is that what she said?
yeah,
She knew what that meant, huh?
yeah. And the girl that I went to beauty school with, Minnie Ravensdorf, and the boy she married, they were going together then, and they became engaged. And in those days, they used to give away remarriages in the theaters if you'd go and get married in the theater. And they furnished the wedding gown, the flowers, the reception, and everything. So that's where they got married. And Papa said, well, times were tough. We didn't make a lot of money, and I was just getting through beauty school and everything. And he said, well, if they can make it, I think we can. That's the way he proposed to me.
Real romantic.
Real romantic.
If they can make it, I think we can.
Oh,
You knew what he meant, though.
So we give it a twirl.
Now, where'd you get married?
In his mother's home.
Fresno.
Yeah.
Old Pete, you remember him?
Yeah.
He made an altar and decorated it with cornflowers.
Did he really?
And Grandma and her sisters made a big turkey dinner and all that kind of stuff. And we had a real nice little home wedding. And
Now, old Pete, how was he related?
no relation.
He was a friend of the family?
He
or-
worked with Grandma at the hospital.
Okay.
He was an orderly.
Okay.
Yeah.
He worked
How
with
long we get married?
Pop's mother?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
And then we lived.
So you got along fine with her?
We lived with Grandma and Grandpa for about almost a year, I guess, about a year.
About 6 months.
And then we moved into a house of our own, a little cottage, and we'd lived there for pretty near a year. And all of a sudden, the mail came one day, and here it said, if you really did get married, you better have your license recorded because you're not legally married. So
After a few months? Over a year?
A year or more.
If you really did get
Yeah,
married?
if you got married. Well,
Huh?
I should have kept that letter, but I didn't. But anyway, the preacher that married us was from out of state, and he hadn't been here very long, and he got all the signatures and everything and signed and handed it to us. So it's got one date on it, and then it's got another date when it was recorded.
Is that right?
Uh-huh.
So everything was done legal, he just had not recorded
It never had been recorded.
So you
So
still
if
were
we-
legal, actually?
No,
Or
we
you weren't officially
No,
legal?
we weren't legal.
Officially, we weren't
If
married.
we'd have destroyed it, we'd never been married.
So you had your second chance, and
Yeah, that's
neither
what
of
he
you
told
think-
me. This is your chance.
He said, that's your chance now, huh?
Yeah, that's what he told me. This is your chance. So,
So you got it all recorded then, huh?
yeah,
Did you tell him about your early days
a little bit,
before you met me?
yeah.
about the trip across the river?
No,
Was flooded?
no, I didn't.
Well, why don't you tell me
I
that
can't
one?
tell you all
The
that.
wagon floated off the running gears, almost.
Well, that was way before Hugh was born, and I don't remember where we were going to, but we came to this river, and it was flooded just real high. And if my dad hadn't been a good teamster, we'd have never made it because the wagon bed was floating, and
Above the running gears.
it's just the big wheels that was holding it from going down the river.
Oh, boy.
And when he got us across, when we got across there, the people said that there hadn't been anybody be able to cross for 3 days, and they didn't think we were going to make it. So, but we did. So, and then I got the measles that same trip, and here we were in a covered wagon, and the kids were going by, going to school, and they'd sing, "The kids got the measles, Pop goes the weasels."
Oh, they'd
and
sing
tease
it?
us.
Oh, they knew you had
Because
it.
they were told not to come near us, you know. Stay away from that wagon, they have the measles. So, oh dear.
Out goes the weasel.
Now, after you got your marriage recorded, how long did you live in that little house?
Oh, until I got pregnant.
Till we came to Oakland. Or-
Yeah, and decided I had to quit work, and so he might as well too. Real good judgment.
So that was in
I wanted to
32
shop
then.
on my own.
And he was tired of working for somebody else.
Now, you both were working for somebody else
yeah,
at that time.
we were both working for somebody
Okay.
else. So,
So in 32, you moved from Fresno to Oakland.
right.
Now, how come Oakland?
He had a cousin that lived here.
We went
Well,
to
no,
San Jose first.
we were going to move to San Jose.
I had a barber friend that had a shop down there. And I worked, we stayed there about a week, didn't we? I worked for him a little bit.
Yeah, well, I went home and supposed to pack up and come back.
And then we came up here to see Cousin Jack, lived here on East 14th Street. He had a
We were
cleaning
just
shop.
going to visit. We didn't know what we were going to do.
And
We
there was
just
a barber shop for sale right there on, what was it,
47th,
where the barber shop was?
40, 45, 47 and a half.
Yeah,
Was
45th.
yeah,
45th Avenue,
yeah. So,
14th Street.
so
Is that right?
It was just happened that we landed in Oakland. So, and then,
We rented that barber shop, and there was no lift in the back end of it, and there was no window in the back of the bedroom. So we went down to a second-hand place and bought a nice big window, and knocked the wall out and reframed it and put in the window, and we had a nice.
didn't even ask the landlady.
Didn't ask nothing. We just did it. $35 a month rent for the whole works.
To rent the whole shop.
Shop and living quarters. After
Well,
we got
it
through
wasn't living quarters. We put up
We
with
lived
it,
there.
but we lived there.
Kind of like us living in a trailer.
Had a little backyard.
Oh my, not near as good.
Well, it was something like that.
Now,
Except
what was rent on a normal house back at that time? What would a house would have cost you to rent?
About the same.
About 35.
About
So you were
35,
renting
yeah.
the business with a little place to
Yeah,
stay.
yeah. So,
So you had your own barber shop.
mhm.
Okay.
and she put in a beauty shop later, and then we got a rented apartments.
Okay, now Mom, you were pregnant with Mom when you moved there. So what happened? When was she born? And where?
Yeah, right there in the back of the barber shop. So,
And who delivered her?
well, we had it's another
I'm a
case.
nurse, almost.
Have another case where the doctor didn't get there.
Runs with the oldest child in this side of the family.
Well, a doctor did get there, but
She was
the
being
doctor
born
that
when
was
we got
supposed
there.
to get there was in surgery, and he didn't ever make it. But they sent someone else was taking his call, and those days they did go out and make house calls, and he got there in time to barely deliver it, but the nurse was already there.
The nurse told me,
And
if
we
you
didn't
don't
need
get here right away, you and I will deliver this baby.
And
She was being born, I could see her little forehead.
And then the restaurant people, of course, there was just a very thin partition wall, because it had curtain wall. It had been one big building, and of course they knew I was in labor, and so they turned their music up real high. So if I screamed or something, they wouldn't. Right at lunchtime, she's born at 11 o'clock. It's about. So the doctor got there, and she just popped out in a hurry then, because the nurse had been holding her back with hot barber towels, to tell the truth. And then he was waiting for the afterbirth and standing there with these forceps in his hand, and they were playing over somebody else's shoulder, and he was going like this. I felt like kicking him. Oh, I was so mad at him. Oh, I was furious.
He's doing it to the music, huh?
Yeah.
Over somebody else's shoulder.
Yeah.
That's funny. So how big a baby was Mom?
Well, the first time that we were able to weigh her, I took her down to the butcher shop on the same block, and they weighed her for me, and they figured she was almost 6 pounds.
She's little. She's tiny.
Yeah. So, and people, she was supposed to come in January, and she came in December, and everybody thought that and then we just moved up here, and I was pregnant already, you know, and everybody thought that we'd just gotten married, and that here we'd been married over 3 years.
They thought you just got married.
Yeah, they thought we
Why
just
did they
got
think that?
Oh, that people used to do that if you got, you know, if you had a baby premature and it's your first one. Well, you can always have the first one in
Lie about the
5 months or
wedding
6
date.
months or whatever.
Well, that's funny.
Wasn't funny. I was mad. I was furious when I found that out later on.
Didn't do it.
So, you didn't, that's for sure. So,
So how long did you have the barber shop there? And what happened with
10 years, I think.
10 years?
yeah, about that.
Now when did you put a beauty shop there?
Oh, we had that
Oh.
there after a couple of years, wasn't it?
When Glenn, we moved out in about maybe a year and a half, when Donna was maybe a little over a year old. And then after Glenn was born, there's just about 20 some months between them.
Right.
And we were in a little duplex right up across from the Baptist church. I think it's an apartment house now. There, right in Melrose. And he was born there. And then when he was about 3 months old, we put the beauty shop in. And I went back to work. And I worked.
The kids were around there quite a bit. Because little Glenn used to go in the pool hall there.
Oh,
His dog.
well, then we rented the house back
Oh, that's right,
behind.
right back of us.
Back behind
That's right.
before
45th Avenue.
we could come from the back of the house into the back of the beauty shop. It's just around the corner from
Yeah, that's
where
right.
the shop was. And
Next door to the barber shop was the pool hall,
so, and
beer joint.
in those days I think we had, I think I only had to pay $3 a week and a board and room for help in the house. I think that's what it was.
Maybe
And they were
so.
glad to have it. So,
And Mike Gilliard, you might him?
Yep.
This is his wife who babysat.
yeah, she was one of my babysitters.
Oh, she babysat.
She lived with us for over a year. And
Yeah.
she,
She lived with us. didn't she?
yeah, she,
When I'd come, she had a little baby out of wedlock, little Gloria. And I'd
this
come
wasn't
home.
out of wedlock. They were married for 3 weeks and they got a divorce.
Oh, 3 weeks, well.
Yeah, but she,
Huh?
She had no husband anyway.
she shouldn't have ever married him.
She came in,
I think she was,
when I'd come home, she'd holler, Daddy, 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 Daddy,
she would
Daddy.
get just as excited as our kids were when he's
Just as
born.
our-
Oh.
She'd call him Daddy.
Daddy, Daddy, Daddy.
Little girl?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, little Gloria.
That's funny.
Yeah,
and she married Mike.
and he adopted Gloria.
And
And
had
she-
2 other.
Two other daughters. Papa went to see Mike last week.
Yeah, so then. We could go.
How about, now, Glenn was born, you say 20 months after. Was he delivered at home too? Or not?
Mhm.
How much did he weigh?
I think about 7 pounds,
About a pound bigger.
7.5, something like. I've got that written down. He was weighed. They were prepared for that, so I forget for sure.
Not on the butcher scale.
Not on the butcher scale, no.
The butcher scale might have been more accurate. You never know.
It probably was. So,
That's funny.
oh, they were good.
Tell him about
I'd
June.
take-
And Mike, the guy that had the restaurant around the corner, he was a good guy. And the little dog, like he used to play with Glenn, and he'd run around and
Well,
stand.
come over here by me.
He'd wind up and sit up in the, no, I'm not gonna do it. No. No, 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 no.
Just relax.
No, come on, Glenn. Oh, no, cut it out.
Don't hurt him.
Cut it out. Get out of here.
Sit over there,
No.
please. Come on.
I'm not gonna do it. So anyway, he'd go over the rest at Mike's restaurant and sit up on his haunches and bark, and
Oh, the little dog would?
Mike would come and feed him. I'll get out of here. You go ahead and tell your story.
I'm gonna do you too. This is for your grandkids and your great grandkids to remember you by. This is important. Come on,
No,
sit
it's all right,
Sit
Mama,
down.
for heaven's sakes. It's not half bad once you get started.
I'm dressed for it.
That's the way you always look.
That's the way I want you dressed. I don't want you looking dressed up. I wouldn't know you.
Can you see anything?
Yep, I can see you fine.
Silly.
Perfect.
Silly.
Silly kids.
Perfect.
There we go. Okay, now what were you talking about?
I don't know. Oh, the little white dog, Ikey, would go over to Mike's restaurant and stand up on his haunches until he sat there just like that, till Mike could give him some meat.
Oh, he'd sit up on his
Yeah,
haunches
he's
like
not-
he was begging.
Yeah.
And one day, there's another big dog. Someone had a big German Shepherd dog. He came over there too, and he and Ikey got in a fight. And Mike went out and threw water on him. And he said for about a week, little Ike wouldn't go back
Wouldn't
over
come
there.
back again.
He wouldn't go back out.
Got his feelings hurt, huh?
His feelings hurt that bad. But he finally went back. And he got downtown. People seen him way downtown Oakland, going the streets. Never seemed to get hurt. But when we first got him, Mother had him in present, didn't she? And we had him in a little shoebox and took him out.
Oh, she was in the hospital when I first got him.
Yeah, and we took him
And I put him in a shoebox and
shoebox so she could see our little dog.
took him to the hospital.
So we brought him up here with us. And he'd sit back in the carriage in the backyard with a baby buggy there, and he wouldn't let anybody reach across the fence to
Nobody could touch Donna.
touch the buggy.
Oh, really?
Oh.
How big was he?
Oh,
He
yeah.
wasn't very big.
Little spit stop.
About like Sam was? About that
Yeah,
size?
yeah, about the same
Yeah,
size, I
same-
think, except
same
long
size.
white hair. So I've got pictures of him. I
He
can
looked like
get
a,
some-
and that's cool.
Nobody could get near Mom, huh?
No,
No
sir.
way.
The
That's
people.
good.
The women next door would like to, they wanted to reach over and look at the baby. He'd growl, he wouldn't let them touch her.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah, that was good.
That's real good.
He used to go in the pool hall with Glenn. Little. Everybody liked it, you see. And he'd take the dog with him and go through the pool hall sometimes and get him in there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they gave him candy and
Get him
stuff.
candy and stuff.
They were a nice bunch of guys.
Yeah, they were.
I mean, they weren't all
They
law-
give
they
Glenn
weren't
Glenn
law-abiding.
candy or?
Yeah, Glenn.
Yeah.
You never worried about anything happening
No.
to the child. They'd look after
Then
him.
there was
and all
another
that.
guy there, he had a box repair,
Yeah.
box factory. And he'd haul boxes around to different canneries and places and stuff in his truck. And he got acquainted with Glenn. He wanted to, he'd take Glenn with him on his trips to
Yeah.
their boxes.
Preschool, and they'd take him.
Oh, he'd take him delivering
Yeah.
boxes
Yeah.
with him?
Yeah, and I never even knew the man's last name. So, and this old Harry wants me to go and
Old
deliver
Harry.
boxes. Yeah. And everybody knew old Harry, and it was just no big deal at all. Now I think I'm scare you to death.
Nowadays you never do it.
Mm-mm.
Now, who was the guy that you got mad at one time? What was the deal on that? That connected in the restaurant, or what was the deal on that? You told me the story once.
Well, see, we didn't have a separate bathroom. We had to go in there and use the facilities that belonged to the restaurant as well. And I went in there. It was just a little while before Donna was born. I was way big pregnant. Had to go in there real often. And so I was trying to duck in and duck out without being seen. And he would he always have something to say. And he kept calling me and insisting that I come in there. And I walked in there, and he started giving me a bad time. I can't remember exactly what he said to me. And
Said something rude.
yeah, I said something rude. And I called him a dirty name and slapped him just as hard as I could, and turned around and walked out.
Then he
I
came
don't-
into the barber shop and was going to give me a, he said, your wife slapped me. And I said, if she did, you probably had it coming. I had a guy in the barber chair.
And what did he say then?
He didn't say any more.
He was gonna come back, and
He was going to come back.
if you didn't give me a whipping, well, he was
Yeah,
going
if I
to.
didn't, he would.
'Cause
You never heard any more about that, huh?
No, he.
Oh, we saw him quite a few times after that. He was a pretty nice guy in a lot of ways. He worked down at the same place Charles worked, didn't he?
Yeah, it worked
At
at
tire.
Hazel Atlas.
No,
no.
where they make the tires.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Goodyear?
No.
Where,
It was a retread.
Oh, retread place.
Recap tires.
Yeah.
I guess they made new ones too. I don't know.
Oh, I think they did.
Anyway, he worked there, and it was a pretty hot job. So he drank an awful lot of hooch.
Yeah.
He drank about a pint a day, or
A fifth a day.
fifth a day of liquor. So one time after that, we saw him sitting on the fire plug, and we were walking down the street, and he got a conversation with him. And what the hell?
Crying like a baby.
Yeah,
He
tears
wanted
coming
us
down
to
his
go and
face.
talk to his wife
Go
and see if
talk
we
to his
couldn't get her
wife, see
to
if
come
we
back
couldn't
to
get her
him
to
and
come
that sort of stuff.
She left him finally.
Must have been an alcoholic.
Yeah. He's, well, there's a movie star, I can't think of his name, though. He looked a lot
Yeah,
like.
he looked
He's
a lot like
hands,
Almost a dead ringer.
yeah, he was a handsome man, but he was,
Kind of rude.
Built like
Yeah.
him, looked like him. What the heck was his name?
oh, the one that, him and his dad have a trailer and a detective agency or something.
Oh, I know the guy. Yeah.
You know who I'm
I
talking
don't know his
about?
name, but I know
I
the
can't
guy.
think of his name,
Yeah.
so.
Now, how about Mom? Okay, what happened with her when she was little? Anything you can tell me that she wouldn't tell me?
Oh dear, I don't know that she wouldn't tell
Fell
you.
down, broke her leg.
Did she?
One time, they used to have day schools that you could take them at 8 o'clock in the morning and then pick them up at 5, 6 o'clock. And you pay a little bit of something, and they give them a lunch and a nap and everything. And all the requirements were that they were housebroke, no diapers.
Yeah.
And so I took both of them out. There was a Lockwood school area, and it's all fenced in and everything. And I took both of them out there for, I don't know, a year or two maybe. And one time we'd been down to Fresno, and coming back, we had a brand new 1932 Chevrolet, and we wrapped it around a eucalyptus tree right on this side of San Jose on the old highway there.
Now, who was driving?
EK. And
It's the only wreck I ever,
Uh,
the second one I ever
You were talking about my driving?
and
It's too
I
Right.
never hit any trees.
Two wrecks
the
in 60 years.
little
Not too bad.
Glenn was taking a bottle, and it cut his mouth, and
Oh.
And the little Ike dog was in the rumble seat. He went clear over the
it
top.
clear over the top. And Papa, my dad, and Evans was driving, me in the middle, and my dad sitting on the other side, and little Donna was laying up in the back, and we both all put our heads back, I guess, to hold her, and so none of us got hurt very bad. It shook up,
Well,
but
the
the
guy
car was wrecked.
Pulled out of a service station right in front of me on no intersection, just pulled right out and stopped in the middle of the road. I had to hit him or get off to the road, and I should have hit him, I guess.
Yeah,
in his
but
car.
anyway, and so we were without a car. We didn't really need a car all that bad, because we both worked right there, and the house was closed.
Oh, was your car, brand new car?
Practically, yeah, we bought
Yeah,
it.
Insurance
a
didn't
year or so
cover it or
old, I
anything?
think, was all.
They gave us $25 for it.
$25.
And
All I did was hit the
so
left front wheel against this big tree.
he kept insisting on having another car, and finally he did buy another car. And so they had at this same school that the little kids were going to, well, they had kids get up and talk all the time. And so she got up that day after we bought the car, and she told them that, well, not that day, but right a little while afterwards, she said, my mom didn't want a car, and my dad had to have a car, and he went and bought it anyway. But now my mom's the one that's making the payments.
I didn't know that.
It wasn't that her dad was furnishing in money as well. It was just her mom was going and making the payments.
Oh, that's funny. We wonder where these little kids get it from.
Oh, well, that's what they see, you know. They see
They're so funny.
Mama going to the bank and making the payments and stuff. And they don't think about where the money came from.
When we buy the Dodge the second time,
Yeah, it was the Dodge.
back when you couldn't wear it out, that was the best car I guess we ever had. I used it in the termite business when I went into business. Took the trunk off the back end and used it for carry the tools in. Pulled a four-wheel trailer, Model T chassis with the sides on it and front on it. All rubbish in and stuff, lumber. Pull up these hills up here and get stuck going up. Have a guy come and told me rush away up the hill.
You worked that one hard, huh?
We moved Cobebela's garage on that trailer. We did it on a Sunday morning, if I remember right. Nobody around. I think we went several miles with it and moved it where he wanted it, put it down. No permit, no nothing.
Nothing, huh?
Just did it.
Then we went to, then he put an ad in the paper, money to invest in a business. And that's when he went in the coffee business over in Idaho. And I stayed here for 6 months and he went over there, and then the kids, we broke up housekeeping and the kids went out and stayed with mom and dad. They were living in a little place,
Up the other Hayward.
yeah, the other side of Hayward.
Low,
And
east of 14th Street.
then when I decided that it was just about time that we were either going to split up or get back together, so one or the other was going to.
6 months.
Yeah, 6 months. And so I packed up bedding and kids and everything. I made
Little dog.
the bed just level and the seat just level in the back so the kids could lie down. And we put one of these was like these gates here, expando things on the running board, and put the little dog on that, and started out for Idaho. And we got to Reno and stopped and got gas, and I didn't look when I got back in the car, and my little dog wasn't on there.
Uh-oh.
So we went a mile or so and turned around and went back, and here he was coming down the road the same direction that we were going. And we picked him up and went on
He's
over
trying to
there.
catch up.
What a dog. He was
And
something.
we found the place of business, and Evans was there, and then he took some time off and took us out to his where he was living, and we stayed there for
Room out there.
maybe half an hour or so. Then we went, kids and dog and all, went all over town looking for an apartment to live in. Well, somewhere when we were looking for the apartment, the dog got off of the running board again and took off. And we backtracked a little bit but couldn't find him. And when we got back to his rooming house, the dog was
They're
there.
waiting for us. Now, how did he know that's where I lived?
Been there
That was
one
just
time
uncanny.
for a few minutes,
Just for a few minutes, one time.
but he was there. And he
Went right back there.
came with us back to California.
Smart little dog.
Oh, boy, what a dog.
So did you stay there for a while or not?
I stayed 1 month. And your poor mom, I put her on a bus to go to city bus to go to school, and she
After
got
we got back
lost.
here.
No, over there
Oh, over there.
In Idaho?
in Idaho.
She got lost?
And she got lost, but
How old was she then?
it's first grade.
Oh no.
But it was a little town, and it seemed like it was the bus driver is supposed to know where to take her off. And I guess he did let her off at the right place, but she made the wrong turn. But she wasn't lost very long. It was scary for her. She still remembers it. She'll tell you about
And
that.
we came back to Oakland and rented a place up on Michigan.
Now, how come the coffee business didn't work out? What was the deal there?
Just not a big enough town.
Trying to sell coffee and not enough demand, huh?
26
What
cents.
town were you in?
Boise.
You were in Boise.
Mhm.
How big was it then?
It was little. It was like Newman.
It's a big town now.
Yeah.
Pretty big.
It was maybe it's bigger
We
than
used to
Newman,
go out
but
in
not
the country.
much.
Well, we went mostly, no, well, we went south too, to Caldwell and up into Ontario, Oregon, I guess it was Ontario, right on the border, isn't it?
I don't know.
Anyway, it's right on the border between Nevada, I think, and Idaho.
Yeah.
But they travel 50 or 100 miles and sell 3 pounds of coffee.
15
So-
cents a pound.
No, 26.
26?
26.
Yeah,
I
we sold it in
remember.
the grocery store for 15.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. One of the grocery stores finally took a hell of no profit in it. So we could still, well, we decided that we couldn't make it there, so we decided to come back to California and hooked up the 4-wheel trailer and put stuff we had and took off.
And where'd you end up back here?
Came back here and I went to work for as a laborer for a groom and groom contractor.
Not first, you didn't. First, you went to work as a
Oh,
bus
first I
driver.
went a bus driver.
You drove bus.
I drove bus for about 3 weeks.
Even with your accident, they let you do it, huh?
They didn't let me do, I didn't want to stay there, I could tell that. That wasn't for me, so.
What didn't you like about it?
Oh, they were pushing you all the time. We had to get through faster. And the guys were cheating. One guy drive a bus and he'd jump early so he wouldn't pick up so many people. So the guy that was right on the ball when he's supposed to start out, he'd be picking up part of his load and what the other guy should have had, and he'd be stopping every block, and then they'd get on you because you were taking you too long to make your route. Well, they really didn't do that, but that was the idea. You had to hurry and get around, make your rounds. But guys would cheat, and I didn't like it anyway.
There's always that.
Anyway, I think the starting fee was 35 cents an hour
It wasn't
or
very
something
much.
like that.
What year would that have been? How old was Mom?
She was 6.
So it'd been 1939.
Yeah.
1939, you're making 35 cents an hour.
Yeah.
Now, you took another job. How much were you making with
Then I
that?
went to work for Groom and Groom as a laborer, and I worked there for, I forget, maybe 6 months or so. And I told him I wanted to be a carpenter. He was sitting in the restaurant having his dinner, and I went in, had a cup of coffee, was talking to this guy, the superintendent of Groom and Groom. A hell of a nice guy, too. Well, he said, I don't know whether I can do that or not. And I said, well, you pay me what you think I can earn for you, and if I can't cut the mustard, all you gotta do is lay me up. What do you got to lose? He says, by God, I like the way you talk. You come to work, why don't you bring your tools?
Well,
Got you the job as a
That's
carpenter.
a case of having the confidence in what you can
Just
do.
like you at the beauty
Yeah.
shop and him as carpenter.
Yeah.
That's why you two did so well.
So then the funny part of it was I got home, this was on a Friday night, and I got home and Ed Williams and his dad had gone to work over at the Naval Air Station on those housing projects for the Navy people. And they had asked for a job for me, and by golly, yeah, bring him on. So I had to call Groom and Groom and tell them that I got another carpenter job. I started right out at carpenter scale. He said,
Yeah, but you had worked for him for a while,
oh, yeah, I'd worked for him quite a while.
quite a little while.
I'd worked for him maybe at least 6 months or maybe a year. So he said, you grab it. Good luck.
That's great.
Well, that was about the same
That's
time
good.
when he was driving the bus, is when they had the longshoremen strike,
Yeah.
and they struck for $1 an hour.
Oh, really?
And you know what longshoremen make now? So
Yeah.
that. the
Now,
wages-
as a starting carpenter, how much did you start for? Do you remember?
I can't remember.
Was
I
it
don't
close to
remember
$1 or not?
I
Oh,
don't know.
I think it must.
I don't know.
I just
really
don't
don't
remember. I don't remember.
But anyway, then I and Ed worked for, and Ed's dad-in-law worked there quite a while. We finished that job. They were building this, on the housing project, I and Ed on that. Then I and his dad went to work on, when they were building this big airplane carrier. What the heck was the name of that big one? And we were building a dock so they could dock that big carrier.
Oh, really?
And that's where I worked for quite a while.
This in Alameda?
Yeah, we worked there till that was finished.
Naval Air Station,
Well,
wasn't
there's,
it?
yeah,
Was it the dock at the Naval Air Station?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You built that?
You betcha.
Still there.
I'd never seen one before, and I went to work on it. And tell you
I was just there on the
how
Enterprise.
lucky I was on that thing. There was one guy, a foreman there. When Ed and his dad decided they wanted to take a vacation and go back to Missouri, I think. So they took off and went to Missouri, and I was kind of left on my own
Uh-oh.
on this job. And, I wasn't sure just of what I was supposed to do. So the foreman over there he'd been watching me, and he says, Pete, you having trouble? I said, yeah, I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. I really don't know what to do. And he says, you come to me. If you got any problems, you come tell me about it. I'll help you. And he says, you know, the guy I like to fire is a guy that knows to work, but he won't work. You're a good worker. That was his name.
Oh, and I don't remember.
We met him a few times after that, because Glenn went to school with the same place his kid did.
Yeah, when Glenn started school, his kid was going
we
there
met
too.
him there after that a few times. But then we worked, that was finished, and I guess then we wanted down there, go to start contracting. I got my general contractor's license. And we started remodeling houses. We worked at that for a long time until the war came on and we couldn't get material. Then we couldn't get any sheetrock. We couldn't get sheetrock. There was just no way to get it. The government was taking it all. So then Ed had some time, he had learned to do something with crane operating. And so he went to work at that. And in the meantime, while we were doing this remodeling, we did some work on a house and found our termite control and made termite inspection on it. And we did the repair work on it. And he came by to inspect it. And he said, you guys have done a good job. If you ever needed a job, look me up. I'll give you a job. So that's how I got to work for Fowler. And Ed went to work as a crane operator. And I worked for Fowler for quite a few years. And then I got my own termite license and went to work for myself. And after I'd worked for myself for a few years, Fowler was going to sell out, and I bought his business.
Oh, you did?
And I had Petersen and Fowler termite control. But I gave the Fowler up after a while. It all worked together.
Absorbed it.
Yeah.
I just absorbed it. But that's what it was.
Now, when did Glenn start working with you in the termite business?
He's about 14 years old.
Little kid.
14, so he's been in it over 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or about 40 years.
He used to take him in the summertime on the jobs, and
Yeah.
and on Saturday, if they worked on Saturday, just the two of them.
It worked out.
And then Glenn went to night school and took up drafting and
That was a
carpenter
good thing.
stuff. Johnny went too, but he didn't. He quit.
Johnny Gallo.
Johnny Gallo.
Yeah.
That's where he met Johnny.
Oh, really?
That's where Glenn met
That's
Johnny.
how Donna met John, I guess,
Yeah.
through Glenn.
That's right.
They were going to night school together.
Uh-huh.
Glenn finished it, but Dad didn't.
Yeah. That's,
Then when we came back from Boise, we rented a place up on Michigan Street. That's where Donna fell down, broke her leg.
And
no,
how'd you
Donna
do?
didn't. I did.
I mean, Georgia did, yeah.
How'd you do that?
Well, it was a
It was on a
board sidewalk.
Up on a hill.
That's on a hill, and I was in a hurry because I'd got a part-time job. It was just before Christmas, and we'd come back, and I was going to go to work, and it was slick, and it just turned underneath me and broke. So couldn't get on to work. And Evans's folks came up to see us, and there I was standing with a long leg cast, and washing clothes on a washboard. So they went out and bought us a $40 washing machine.
Did
and paid
they
for
really?
It. They sure did.
That's nice of them.
Oh, they were good to us. Yeah. They sure were. And then a little bit later, he got to working good, and I got my shop back. And when I rented my shop out, see, I didn't sell my shop. He sold the barber shop, but I kept the beauty shop.
Yeah.
She
And
rented it.
when I rented it, and when I got it back, when the 6 months was up, that her lease, well, when I rented it out, there was 2 girls working in there, myself and another girl. And when I got it back, the first Saturday I was there, there was 1 appointment. Absolutely, she
You
just
run it
wrecked, and there was no business at all. So I had to build it back up again. And just 1 appointment, dirty, oh, it was awful. Scrubbed the whole thing, get it cleaned up again. So then we got things going pretty good. And then one day I was walking by this real estate office, and it said, $2,500 will buy you a house, something like that, in the window. So of course, if anybody stopped, well, the salesperson just came right out and started talking.
What year was this, do you think?
It was Glenn was born in 35,
Right.
and he was 4 years old.
So 39.
It's still
You
39.
could buy a home in the Bay Area for $2,500.
And so
big house.
he came out, and I said, I'd like to see the little house that you've got advertised on that card. He says, well, it's not a little house. And so he took me over to see it, and that was on East 18th Street. It was a huge, big house.
Where the streetcar track used to come up to East 18th,
And
to East 18th Street, it was right on that corner.
so it worked out that we could buy it for $500 down. And Papa's mother and dad signed a note with a lady who had money she did this to people who knew,
Right.
to loan.
She loaned you the $500?
She loaned us the $500.
Is that right?
And we bought it. And then we were supposed to pay $30 a month on the other $500 or $2,000.
Right.
And
$30 a month payments?
yeah, and I used to pay them every week. I went every week and paid $30.
Oh, you did?
You bet.
Instead of every
Inst-
month?
Yes,
Yeah.
instead of every month. So that cut down the interest.
We lived there
And
12 years, I think. didn't
We lived there 16 years.
16 years.
Now, where was this at? Do you remember the address?
Yeah, East 8th,
36, East 18th.
4136 East 18th
East 18th.
Street.
4136 East 18th. Is that house still there?
No, they tore it down. But Cliff and Odette lived in it for several years after after the city bought it from
The
us.
city bought it from us, and they were going to tear it down and put a street in there, which they did. They took the streetcar track out. But the guy we bought it from, he was working for this streetcar company, and he'd just park his streetcar there at night and go to bed and jump in it next morning and go to work.
So it only had 2 owners.
And he raised a bunch of kids there.
Yeah.
He raised a lot of kids.
So both of the kids started, well, Donna had gone a little bit to school before that, but she was still in the 1st grade. And then they graduated from high school right there, Castle Mount High School. So,
Glenn and Mom both?
uh-huh. Yeah. So they never.
Nice school.
So they
the
never,
building
well, it was a
had-
good school then.
No, I know.
The building
Things have
upstairs
changed.
was all the same size as the house upstairs, complete upstairs. You climb a ladder, go up there, and you had all this wooden floors all around. Kids used to have their parties up there. Glenn, when he was growing up.
Well, we had a few up there
We,
ourselves.
we had a few ourselves. But anyway, one time the kids were having a party, and they used to come and bring their cars in there, their
Hot rods.
hot rods, and work on them in the driveway there. So there's quite a few. There's about 5 or 6 kids who were real close with Glenn. Anyway, they'd have the parties up there, and one night we were downstairs, I guess, the whole time. And one of the older kids bought some booze, and he spiked their punch,
Uh-oh.
and they all got snowed. And I think it really got stuck. Before we found out what was going on, we had given them coffee and walking around trying to sober them
Well,
up.
Tom Lemaisny, you know
Tom
him.
Yeah.
Lemaisny was one of
Is
them.
and
Bob McKenzie, you see him on the TV, the news.
well, he's not. I don't see him
Redheaded
anymore. I don't
kid.
know where he is. No, he wasn't one of them. But Bob Rapini was one of them.
Lemaisny,
And some I don't
and
forgot the
several
other.
other boys.
But,
One of the older kids, he got the booze, and we really fixed him up. We didn't dare send him home.
no, Tom Lemaisny was going with his wife then, and she drove him home. And I guess maybe the girls must have known that they were
They must have.
doctoring it up. I don't know, but it probably didn't
Well, I
take
don't think
very
they
much.
knew it to
'Cause,
start with.
well, the girls weren't drinking it,
No,
so
right.
they must have got
They might have
wised
known.
up. I don't know, but Bob Rapini was I guess he was the worst one.
And
He-
he was
he
so
laid there.
apologetic afterwards. He was so
He said,
ashamed.
"Oh, Mrs. Peters, I'm
so
so
sorry."
I'm so sorry."
Oh gosh.
We talked about it here a few years ago.
That's funny.
The Hot Rod Club had a reunion, and they
Yeah.
had us come and
To
as
their-
honorary
to their-
guests.
Oh, you
for 'em.
went?
To their,
Oh, yeah, a few years ago, and they gave us a plaque
Oh, that's
for
nice.
letting them
That's
have
kinda
the meetings at our house.
Right.
And so we talked about it then and laughed.
Now you lived there 16 years at that house. You had the termite business that whole time?
Mm. No,
Not the whole time.
but we started while we were
We
there.
started while-
Where was it located first?
It was located right there. It was
Right
always
there.
just a
That was-
yard.
Out of your house?
Yeah.
out of their house.
Johnny Cute, you know him.
Yeah.
His youngest son used to say, "Oh, I like to go over and see George and Emmons Petersen. They have such a lot of junkyard."
We had a lot of lumber stored underneath the house. There was room to
Oh.
I mean, a
They
lot of
did.
A lot of used lumber when we was working.
It was just a little lot with a
shipyard
big
stuff I was
house
going
on
to
it.
throw away. I'd take it home, put it under the house.
You started young
I've
at
got a
that.
lot of it out here. Really.
It's still here, huh?
No,
Probably
It's
is.
used up now.
And we had, when we bought the house, it had an old shacky garage and a chicken house on the side of it. And I'd been after him to tear it down and do something with it, and he hadn't done it anyway. So one day I got Glenn and 2 or 3 of his little friends, and we tore the whole thing down. We didn't get a permit or nothing,
When I
and
put
we
it all
burned
in,
it.
stacked it out in the dry, in that where the streetcar truck used to be, on that where there's a street now, lit a match to it. When I come home, where the flames was as high as this ceiling.
Huh?
It was all so dry until we all wore dresses in those days. I didn't even own a pair of slacks, and I had on silk stockings, and the flame just melted those stockings
Oh,
right
boy.
on my feet. It went so, my legs. It went so fast. But boy, we had it all cleared up. Boy, it was neat as a pin. Then we
So
built a
wonder
new
if someone had
garage.
called the fire department. That's what
Oh, I don't know how they kept from it. Except it was a great big vacant lot where we
Right.
pulled it over there, and it's wide. We got rid of it.
You remember Gus, don't you? They had the store, Gus and Tilly.
No, I don't think he ever met Gus.
I remember the names.
Oh, he,
What was the last name?
Ruskus.
Ruskus. Greek fellow. Gus and Tilly Ruskus. She's still alive, but he's dead.
Pop, do you remember when Mark and I were kids and we went to see the people with you that had the big Weimaraner dog, the big gray dog? You don't remember either.
The only Weimaraner I remember is up at Paradise.
Maybe that's where it was at. Whose dog?
Coke.
That's it.
Coke and
Coke and
Maxine.
Maxine.
Sure,
Yeah.
we took you up
Yeah.
with
It's
us
the
up there.
people. Yeah, they made special food for their dog. And
Oh, yeah.
that's the one. Nice
Coke
dog.
and Maxine.
Yeah.
I guess he's still alive, isn't he?
Yeah, they both are. We hear from Betty. She lives up there.
Coke and Maxine, what's her last name?
Weaver.
Weaver.
Yeah,
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Weaver.
I never could remember, but I remember the dog when I was a kid. And they made him his food.
Yeah, oh, they
Yeah.
sure did. Yeah. We hear from Betty at Christmas time. I always plan on getting up there to see her again, but we never seem to do it.
Should
So.
be.
Quite a life, huh?
Yeah.
Darn good.
Well, that's enough history.